Adventures. So today we're going to talk about a project that I've got going on. This time of year it's kind of slow. There's not a lot going on. Normally we would, have a few things, and in October we would do, and then November, December, all the way till Axial Fest is kind of dead when it comes to the crawling scene. So I don't know why I just got this wild hair, I guess you could say, and I got back into vintage RCs. And boy, oh boy, have I been getting back into vintage RCs. Kind of, I guess part of it is just thinking back to your youth. I mean, I was into RC in late 80s, early 90s, and matter of fact, right there is a picture of a Royal Crusher, which I actually have here, which was one of my first RCs, and the one I have today isn't the original. It is another one that I was able to get my hands on. The original is long gone, I'm sure. And you can also see right there I got my Clodbuster, which I never could afford a Clodbuster when I was younger. That's why I had the Royal Crusher. And as I was an adult and I just had gotten back into RC, I bought the one thing that I couldn't afford, and that was a Clodbuster. And as you can see in the picture there, it had the Clodzilla chassis, and I went all out. It was a beast, and I got rid of it. To be honest with you, it just took up too much space, and I just, I played with it for a little bit, and it just kind of sat. So I sold it on eBay years ago. Still have fond memories of it. It was a really cool truck. So, speaking of the past, I never owned one of these, but I always thought they were really neat. And I would say at this time in history, it was a competitor against the Blackfoot, which I did have a Blackfoot. Mine was like made from probably 30 different Blackfoots and frogs and God only knows what. It was kind of hodgepodge together, and I raced it a little bit. I didn't do very good with it. But anyway, this was a direct competitor, and it was called the Traxxas Sledgehammer. So, how all this came about. Me and my friends JR and Paul went over to our friend Barry's house, which is, we call him the hobby shop for our town, because he's got a lot of stuff. It was a good time though. We hung out with Barry and, joked around, and I did some wheeling and dealing. And I got a Tamiya off of Barry that's hanging on the wall back there, a Stadium Blitzer, which is really what I was after. But of course, having friends like I have, my friend JR kept peer pressuring me about this Traxxas Sledgehammer. Eyes got real big, and he was just like, dude, it's a sledgehammer, and I got looking at it, and at first I was like, oh, cool, and I got looking at it, I'm like, oh, this thing needs a lot of work. And then our friend Barry says, yeah, he says it's probably 2/3 of a truck. It needs a lot of parts. He says they sometimes come up on eBay. It may take you a little while, but maybe you'll be able to get it back together. And I even told him, I said, I don't know, that's a little more than I want to get into. That's a lot of work and a lot of patience, which I don't have. Anywho, I eventually just, I don't know, I gave in, and I got a stinking hot deal. It's like $45, I think it was. And I come home with a Traxxas Sledgehammer. Well, parts of a Traxxas Sledgehammer. Anyway, let me show you the one that I got off of my friend Barry. It was really dirty when I got it, and I washed it up, and wow, this thing is really clean. Got it in the floor right here. So, if you can, let me move some of this stuff out of it. If you can look at this thing, I mean, it's pretty nice. I mean, chassis is not bad at all. It's really cleaned up really good. And I have shocks for the back. They're in a box over there. It came with front wheels and tires, and the rubber is still really good, no flat spots. And it came with a really clean transmission, and the gears inside look brand stinking new. It didn't have the outside gears, it didn't have the metal plates, it was missing a lot. It also had this body mount here. I 3D printed this piece right here. That's why it looks so clean and white. But it didn't have the front. This is the front. And it also came with this body, which is actually pretty darn nice. I mean, all things considered, as old as this body is, man, it's in decent shape. So that's what I got for $45. Oh, I didn't mention, Barry threw in 2 other transmissions. Yeah, so I've got 2 more transmissions in the box. One of them's actually for a Hawk, and the other one I think is, it looks like this one. I believe it's the same transmission. I think he was trying to say it went to a nitro or something, and it might be. I'll have to do a little more investigating on it, because I'm probably going to sell those transmissions as I don't need them. So, what did I do? I said, well, I got on the eBay. Yeah, he was right. Parts are far and few between. They're hard to find. And I found some. One thing I had to get, I actually, which you've already seen, it was the metal plate on the bottom. I actually had to order that from Great Britain, and it came 3 or 4 days ago, and I bolted it on the chassis. And also I got these A-arms, rear A-arms, also from Great Britain, and yeah, that wasn't cheap. The shipping's what got me. The price of the parts was reasonable. You know, it was like all in, I'm probably $40, and you know, all the parts with the shipping. And I think I only paid US was around $9 or $10 or something for the parts themselves. It was the actual shipping that was crazy, and it took longer to get something from Great Britain than it did to get something from China, which is kind of bonkers. But okay, whatever. So, after I got that in, I got shopping around again, and I found an auction for another sledgehammer. This one here was also missing a bunch of parts, but the parts it did have are the parts I need to finish this sledgehammer. It has a complete transmission. It has all the rear end parts. It actually has A-arms, which I had ordered already. The ones I got from Great Britain are way cleaner, so I probably won't use these. It also has the shafts that I was missing. Just everything I was missing, this thing has. And let me grab it real quick. I just got it out of the box today. So I think it came from upstate New York. And here you go. The rubber on the tires is okay. I'm probably going to resell these. I don't need the front A-arms. I'll definitely be reselling those. The bumper will be resold. The chassis I do not need. It will be resold. However, complete transmission. I'm going to use my transmission. I need the metal plates and the outside gears, and I also need these shafts. So yeah, that completes me with putting mine back together. All this stuff here I was missing. There's another servo in here. I'm going to test it and see if it's any good. If it is, I'll reuse it in another classic RC. There's a bunch of nuts and bolts and things that are original that I can use. So yeah, it came with that. It came with some tires. This one here is a terrible flat spot on it. Yeah, definitely won't be reusing that. I don't even know if anybody would want that. I've heard you can boil them to get them to come back to shape, but these, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not using that. I do need one of these, and my tires are way better shape than the ones that are on here. So I think these are glued on, so you know that's going to be a pain in the rear end, but I'm going to get these off. There's another tire. So it came with a full set of tires. Here's one of my tires that came with the one I got off of Barry. Check this out, man. They're like butter, baby. Like new, just rubbery. Feel good. They're not dry rotted. So these are the ones I'll be using. Another thing I was missing is right there. I need this mount. So that's a good thing. We'll have to straighten out some of the springs. So there's where we're at. I've got enough parts now where I can put a sledgehammer back together. This one I'm not going to do a full restoration on it. I should have done a video series on the RC10 that I did. RC10, I completely restored it. And it's got components that are original to the era when it came out, and it's actually an A stamped chassis. I've got that going on over here on the wall. See it? I have a Traxxas Hawk, which is another project coming up. This one here is in really good shape. I got that one off of eBay for about $40 some too. Anyway, so stay tuned. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And I'll be doing a series of putting this old girl back together. We're going to do it as not a restoration, more of a revival. Probably going to put some updated components in it, and we're going to take her for a spin. It's going to be a driver for sure. Stay tuned. Lots of cool stuff coming.